The world around you is beginning to grow quiet. The voices, screens, and constant motion of the day are fading into the background, slipping away like ripples disappearing on a still pond. You might hear the faint murmur of something distant, the hum of a passing car, the sigh of wind moving softly against your window. Perhaps the rhythmic ticking of a clock nearby, but all of it blends together now into a gentle backdrop. It is the kind of quiet that doesn't feel empty, but rather protective, like a warm blanket wrapping around you at the end of a long day. Wherever you're listening from, whether you're lying in bed, curled beneath the covers, or sitting back in a comfortable chair, this is your time, your space, a space where nothing is expected of you except to simply be here. All the lists, the unfinished tasks, the worries, and the noise of earlier hours can stay outside for now. You do not need them. They will wait patiently for another time, but tonight belongs to you. Take a slow, steady breath in, feeling the cool air filling your lungs. Notice the way your chest and shoulders lift gently with the movement. Then release it slowly, letting each muscle in your body soften just a little more with the exhale. Allow the breath to feel unhurried, as though each inhale gathers calm and each exhale releases the weight of the day. You can let your eyes close if they wish to, or you can let them rest halfway, softening your gaze as you listen. This journey will not be rushed. It will move like the slow turning of an old, weathered page in a history book, each sentence carrying you deeper into another time. The words are here not just to tell a story, but to guide you toward stillness. As you listen, you may notice your thoughts beginning to drift, perhaps touching on memories, perhaps floating through images you can't quite name, and that is perfectly fine. This is a space where drifting is welcome. Tonight, we will travel together into the past, into a moment in history when the world was both vast and uncertain. But we will not follow soldiers charging into battle, nor will we stand on the front lines. Instead, we will find ourselves behind those lines where quieter yet vital work was done. We will step into the life of a field cook in World War II, a role less often told, but one that held the heartbeat of the camp. You might picture the scene already, not the roar of artillery, but the low murmur of voices near a fire, the scrape of a wooden spoon against the sides of a heavy pot, the soft metallic clink of enamel mugs being filled one after another. The hands in this story will be stained, not with soot or gunpowder, but with the earthy smell of potatoes, the sharp scent of onions, the warmth of freshly baked bread when ingredients allowed, and you will be those hands. You will be the one rising before dawn, feeling the cold air against your cheeks as you step outside the tent. You will be the one tasting the stew to be sure it is seasoned just right, even when the ingredients are humble and the rations must stretch far. You will serve those who march and labor, giving them the fuel they need to keep going. Your work will not be celebrated with medals or parades, but with the quiet gratitude of those who return to camp weary, only to find a bowl of something hot waiting for them. As we begin, let the present moment fall away. Imagine your surroundings shifting, your walls or ceiling replaced by open air, your familiar bed or chair giving way to the hard but grounding feel of wooden boards or packed earth beneath your feet. The air is cooler here, touched by the faint scent of wood smoke drifting from a nearby fire. Somewhere, canvas tent walls ripple faintly with the night breeze, their edges glowing soft gold where the firelight touches them. Your breathing is steady now. Your shoulders rest more heavily. The space between one thought and the next begins to grow longer. Already, you are starting to cross that quiet bridge between here and there, between your own time and the winter of 1943, when snow clung stubbornly to the ground at the edges of camp and the nights stretched long and still. The journey ahead will unfold slowly. We will wander together through the sights, the sounds, and the quiet labors of a world at war, but seen through the eyes of someone who works not with weapons, but with warmth. There will be mornings of peeling vegetables by the light of a kerosene lamp, afternoons of hauling water from the pump, evenings of stirring pots while the sky darkens above. And through it all, a rhythm of life that persists despite the chaos beyond the camp's borders. So, rest now. You do not need to prepare for anything but listening. The story will come to you, flowing at its own pace, wrapping around you like the steady heat of a campfire on a winter night. Feel the weight of the day slipping further from your shoulders. Hear the low hum of history beginning to rise. Soon, the first light of dawn will find you standing beside a stove in the heart of a field kitchen. But for now, we linger here, on the edge of the story, breathing slowly and letting the quiet take hold. The story opens with the faintest suggestion of movement in the air, as though time itself is taking a breath. In the darkness behind your closed eyes, you begin to sense the shapes of another place emerging, outlines that slowly gain detail, like an old photograph, coming into focus under the soft glow of a developing lamp. The sound reaches you first, the muted crackle of firewood, burning low but steady. It's a comforting sound, one that doesn't rush or demand attention, but simply keeps on existing, dependable. Underneath it, there's the gentle clink of metal against metal, as if a ladle is tapping lightly against the rim of a pot. Somewhere close, boots scuff over packed dirt. Moving with an unhurried rhythm, your breath finds that rhythm, matching it. With each inhale and exhale, you step a little more into this world. The scent comes next. Smoke, yes, but also the deep, earthy aroma of boiled potatoes, the sharper note of chopped onions, and something faintly savory lingering in the cool night air. It's the kind of smell that doesn't just register in the mind, but settles deep in the chest, triggering a quiet awareness of hunger and comfort at the same time. When your vision clears, you're standing in the center of a small clearing, surrounded by the sleeping shapes of tents. Their fabric walls ripple faintly with the passing breeze, the sound dry and papery. Above them, the night sky spreads wide and endless, a deep, velvety black scattered with stars. A low moon hangs just above the horizon, casting silver light across the frost-laced grass dot in front of you. The heart of the field kitchen glows warmly against the cool air. There's a makeshift table built from rough planks, its surface dusted with flour and ringed with marks where knives have worked again and again. On one side sits a crate of vegetables, their skins dulled with the dirt of distant farms. On the other, an enamel basin brims with cloudy water, a cloth draped over its edge. And in the middle of it all, the stove, a squat, iron-bellied thing, patched with years of repairs, yet still radiating steady heat. A dented pot rests atop it, steam curling lazily from its rim. A figure moves in the half-light. You recognize the uniform, not the pressed finery of parades, but the worn, practical layers of a soldier working far from the front. The jacket is thick. It seems showing small mends where the fabric has worn thin. A scarf, once army issue but now fraying, is looped loosely around the neck. The face above it is neither tense nor smiling, just steady, the expression of someone whose days follow a rhythm that has become second nature. This is you. You notice your own hands, chapped from the cold, with faint traces of flour still dusting the knuckles. The skin bears the marks of your work, a faint cut here, a patch of dryness there, but they are strong hands, practiced hands. Hands that know the exact weight of a ladle filled with stew and how to balance it without spilling a drop. It's early, much earlier than most in camp will rise, but this is when your day begins. The fire has to be lit long before the first rays of sun touch the horizon. Breakfast needs to be ready when the others are roused, and lunch must follow quickly after. You work not by the clock, but by the slow turning of the sky, by the knowledge that soldiers will return hungry no matter what the hour, and you must be ready. Your boots crunch faintly over the frost as you cross to the table. The air bites at your cheeks, but your breath comes easily, curling in faint clouds before your face. You reach for the knife resting at the table's edge, feeling the familiar coolness of its handle against your palm. The blade is worn but sharp enough to split a potato cleanly in two. The sound of the cut, a soft, wet thump against the wood, joins the quiet music of the morning. Somewhere in the distance, a watchman coughs into the cold. From farther still comes the faint hum of a generator, a soft mechanical drone that feels oddly far away from the world of the kitchen. Here, in this small space, time feels slower. Older, a kettle rests on the stove beside the pot, the water inside just beginning to simmer. You lift it with care, the handle warm beneath your fingers, and pour a stream into a metal cup waiting on the table. The steam rises in soft swirls, carrying the scent of tea leaves, not fresh, but familiar, the kind that warms from the inside out. You take a slow sip, the heat blooming across your chest, and let your shoulders relax a little more. Even now, you can feel how the work here connects you to something greater than yourself. You are part of the unseen machinery that keeps the camp alive, not the machinery of war, but the quiet chain of effort that ensures there is something warm to eat, something hot to drink, when men and women return from long hours in the cold. You will not be mentioned in dispatches, but your work will be remembered in moments of relief and comfort, in the simple, grateful nod of someone accepting their bowl at the end of a hard day as the kettle settles back into place. You glance toward the eastern horizon. There's a pale band of light beginning to gather there, the faintest promise of sunrise. The stars are still bright, but already the darkness feels less complete. Soon the camp will stir. Boots on frozen ground, the shuffle of gear, voices low and hushed before the day begins in earnest. But for now, this is your moment. The quiet before the first wave of movement. When the kitchen belongs to you alone, you draw in another deep breath, letting the scents and sounds of this place fill you fully. The fire pops softly, sending up a brief spark. The cold air moves gently across your face, carrying with it the faint scent of pine from somewhere beyond the tents. In this stillness, it's almost possible to forget the wider world entirely. And that's where we will begin, with the rhythm of your own breathing, the glow of the stove, and the slow arrival of dawn in a camp that depends on your hands. Soon you will serve the first ladles of soup, and the day will unfold in quiet labors and fleeting moments of rest. But for now, we linger here, letting the warmth seep into your bones, grounding you fully in this time, in this place, before the story carries us forward. The night still lingers when you awaken, a hush lying over the camp like a thin blanket. The stars above are beginning to fade, their brilliance softening as the horizon slowly, cautiously begins to brighten. There is no sudden sunrise here only, a gradual easing, a tender fading of shadow into muted gray. The air is cold against your skin, the kind of cold that makes you pull your jacket tighter, though you can feel the fabric is already damp with the dew of the night. In your hands, a dented tin mug radiates a faint warmth, the bitter scent of coffee curling upward in faint tendrils of steam. The taste is sharp, almost metallic, yet in this world, such a simple comfort feels invaluable. You stand quietly at the edge of the camp's kitchen area, letting your eyes adjust to the faint outlines of canvas tents and wooden supply crates. The field kitchen itself is a rough assembly, nothing polished or permanent, just what can be carried and rebuilt each time the battalion moves. Wooden planks serve as counters, crates double as seats, and above it all, a large canvas sheet stretches, held upright by poles. Beneath it sits the heart of the operation, a soot-darkened field stove, its iron surface scarred with scratches from constant use. Last night's embers glow faintly inside it still, red pinpricks hidden in the ash, waiting to be stirred into life once again. You know that soon the head cook will kneel, coaxing the fire awake with kindling breath and practiced patience. For now, though, it waits in silence, The stove, a sleeping giant at the center of camp life. Around you, the camp is slowly stirring. A cough breaks the quiet. Somewhere, a boot scrapes against the hard-packed dirt. You hear the faint rattle of metal as a soldier adjusts his gear. The sounds are small, subdued, as though no one wishes to break the fragile stillness too quickly. And above all of this, the silence, a silence that feels deep, vast, and strangely gentle. You can almost forget the distant thunder of artillery, the echoes of conflict that linger just beyond the horizon. In these first quiet minutes of dawn, the war feels far away, as though it belongs to another world. Here, there is only the camp, the smell of smoke, the slow rising of the light. You take in the smells around you, for smells tell the truth of a place even when words cannot. There is the sharp tang of coal smoke mixed with the damp musk of wet earth. The faint trace of last night's stew clings to the air, 2 potatoes, carrots, and the barest scraps of meat. The stew itself had been thin, stretched as far as it could go. But the warmth of it had filled bellies and lifted spirits, and in the quiet of morning, you can still sense its comfort lingering near your feet. A stack of supply sacks rests against a crate. You glance at them. Coarse flour for bread or dumplings, tins of beans with their labels worn from handling, powdered milk in dented cans, and a bundle of onions tied loosely with twine. These are humble ingredients, far from luxurious, yet in the hands of the cooks, they will become meals that remind soldiers of home. A soldier passes by, nodding to you. His face looks pale in the dim light, his cheeks hollow from long marches and short nights. His uniform hangs loosely, worn at the seams, his boots caked with dried mud. And yet, in his eyes, there is a spark, something faint but enduring. He glances toward the kitchen as though to ask silently what breakfast might be, and then moves on, his shoulders squared against the chill. The morning deepens. The faint light grows stronger, turning the gray horizon into streaks of pale gold. A bird calls somewhere, distant and clear. You look toward the stove again, and this time you see one of the cooks crouching beside it, striking flint to steel. Sparks jump, catch, and soon a fragile flame begins to take hold. The smell of smoke sharpens, and soon thin tendrils of it rise into the air, curling and drifting like ghosts. The water bucket is poured into a pot, and as the iron warms, you hear the first faint hiss of heat meeting cold. Soon the water will boil, bubbling with life, ready for oats or coffee, for whatever can be offered to men who wait with quiet patience for the day to begin. You stand a little closer now, letting the warmth of the rising fire brush against your chilled skin. The embers flare, glowing brighter with each breath of air, each careful stoking of the wood. You watch as the flames catch, spreading, filling the stove with a steady glow. This, more than anything, signals the beginning of the day. Around the camp, the stillness begins to lift. More soldiers emerge from their tents, stretching, rubbing weary eyes, adjusting belts and straps. Their voices are low, carrying no urgency, only the soft cadence of men who know the rhythm of mornings like these. Some gather near the kitchen, drawn not by command but by instinct, by the smell of smoke and the promise of food. This moment, fragile and ordinary as it may seem, holds a kind of power. For in the middle of warfare, days are uncertain, and nights are restless. It is these small rituals that hold people together. The brewing of coffee, the crackle of firewood, the steady stirring of a pot. Each act is simple, almost invisible, yet they weave a thread of normalcy into a life that is anything but normal. The first light has fully arrived now, brushing the camp in a pale golden glow. You watch as it touches canvas and steel, boots and helmets, fire and faces. It is a light that feels fragile but insistent, a reminder that no matter what comes, the day has begun. And on that day, you, the field cooks, and the soldiers will do what must be done: survive, endure, and carry on. The morning has settled in now, the pale light softening into a steady glow that stretches across the camp. Breakfast has been served in dented tin bowls, oats thinned with water, perhaps a small slice of bread, and coffee dark enough to stir weary eyes awake. The soldiers sit on crates or crouch near the stove, eating in silence, their shoulders slightly hunched as though conserving their strength, as you finish your own modest serving. A breeze drifts through camp, carrying with it a reminder that the world beyond these tents is far less gentle. The smell change is no longer just wood smoke and coffee, but the distant, acrid temps of oil, the faint metallic edge of machinery left overnight. Somewhere further away, trucks shift in place, their engines growling low as if they, too, are preparing for the day ahead. Walking beyond the kitchen's canvas awning, you let your feet carry you toward the outer edge of camp. Here, the ground is hardened by constant passage, boots and tires leaving it firm, rutted, and familiar. The horizon lies open, though stretching wide, a landscape both peaceful and scarred. At first glance, it could almost be a countryside morning. The dew still clings to tall grass. Birds wheel quietly overhead, and far-off fields ripple with the soft wind. Yet, the closer you look, the more you see signs of war etched into every view. A fence runs raggedly across the slope, its posts leaning, wire rusted and torn in places. The road that cuts through the land is pitted with uneven grooves, its edges pressed flat by the heavy weight of trucks and tanks that have long passed this way. On the horizon, you see faint plumes of smoke rising thin, gray columns that reach upward, their source hidden but unmistakable. And then there are the sounds. Faint, so faint that at first you think you might have imagined them. But then they return, the distant thud of artillery, far enough away that it does not shake the ground, but close enough that its echo reaches your ears. It is not constant, not even steady, just a reminder, irregular and low, that the front is not far. You pause there, looking out across the land. In this moment, you feel caught between two worlds. Behind you lies the camp with its tents and stoves, with coffee brewing and bread baking, a place where small comforts hold back the tide of fear. Ahead of you, beyond the low hills and smoke, lies the battlefield itself, where those comforts cannot follow. A soldier joins you at the edge of the camp, his tin cup still in hand. He stands silently, watching the horizon just as you do. For a moment, neither of you speaks. There is no need to. The silence between you carries its own understanding that beyond this ridge, lives are being fought for and perhaps lost, while here, for now, there is only waiting. The soldier sips the last of his coffee, then kneels to adjust the laces of his boots. His movements are unhurried, almost meditative, as though even tying a knot deserves care. You find yourself noticing how such small actions gain weight out here. A tightened strap, a polished buckle. The way a helmet sits, just so all of it feels like preparation not only for the day, but for survival itself. Your gaze drifts back to the camp behind you. From here, you can see the cooks still busy at their work. Though breakfast is nearly finished, the rhythm of the kitchen never truly pauses. Pots are scrubbed with sand and water, knives wiped clean, flour sifted, and supplies inventoried. Already, thoughts turn to the next meal. How much rice is left? Whether the beans will stretch far enough? Whether the next ration delivery will arrive on time? It is a world of calculation and quiet planning, but it is also a world of care. For the food served here is more than nourishment, tip is a tether to normalcy. Each spoonful of stew or slice of bread carries a reminder of kitchens left behind, of families waiting at home, of dinners once shared in warmth and safety. And so, even on the edge of the battlefield, the field cook's work becomes something greater than itself. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the air move softly against your face. It smells faintly of earth, of smoke, of something metallic that lingers beneath. When you open them again, you see movement along the road and approaching truck, its canvas cover flapping in the breeze. It rattles and shakes as it draws nearer, every joint and hinge groaning under the weight of its cargo. The truck pulls into camp slowly, its tires crunching the gravel beneath. Soldiers rise from where they've been sitting, some moving closer to unload supplies. Crates are heaved down, bread, dried meat, sacks of flour, a scattering of vegetables that have somehow survived the journey. The cook shouts instructions, pointing to the pile of goods that will, in a few hours' time, transform into dinner. It is a small scene, ordinary in its repetition, but as you watch, you feel the layers of it unfold. Each crate is more than wood and nails. It is reassurance. Each sack of flour is more than weight. It is proof that someone, somewhere, is thinking of those who eat it. In war, even the simplest deliveries carry meaning. The soldier beside you finishes tying his boots and rises, his face turned once more toward the horizon. He nods, almost to himself, then begins walking back toward the tents. You remain where you are, still gazing at that line where land meets sky. The sun is climbing higher now, its warmth beginning to seep into the earth, softening the air. Birds continue to circle, their wings glinting in the light. You take a deep breath, letting the air fill your lungs. The morning is no longer new, but it is still quiet, still holding something fragile. You sense that this edge, this place where camp meets battlefield, will always carry a certain stillness, a threshold between two worlds. And as you stand there, you carry that awareness with you, that even here, at the boundary of conflict, there is space for breath, for reflection, for calm. The heart of the camp is not only found in the barracks or along the perimeter, but in the kitchen itself. You return toward the cluster of tents where the cooks are at work, and you begin to notice how much life circulates here, as though every hour of the day has its own rhythm, its own quiet music. The cook greets you with a nod, his hands dusted with flour from kneading dough. His sleeves are rolled up, his apron already stained, though it is still early. Around him, the kitchen tent hums with steady purpose. Large kettles hang from iron hooks, their contents simmering, sending up little spirals of steam. The smell shifts with every step you take, sometimes sharp with onions, sometimes earthy with potatoes, sometimes faintly sweet when someone opens a crate of apples. Their skins still bright with the memory of orchards far away. Every item here feels precious, guarded, and counted. On a wooden table, you see small piles of ingredients carefully arranged. A stack of carrots, a bundle of leeks, a jar of dried beans. Each one is destined to be stretched as far as it can go, transformed into something that can fill not only stomachs, but also spirits. A cook stirs a pot slowly, tasting with a battered spoon, then adds a pinch of salt, no more, because there is never enough to spare. Around the edges of the kitchen, soldiers wander in and out, drawn by the warmth, the smells, or perhaps the company. One lingers to peel potatoes, his knife scraping rhythmically against the skins. Another wipes down the long wooden bench where bread will soon be placed to cool. These are not official duties, not orders barked down the chain, but small acts of sharing, gestures that make the work lighter. You watch as the dough is shaped into rough rounds, then slid into the camp's field oven. The oven itself is little more than a brick and iron structure hastily built near the tents. Yet it radiates a steady heat, and when the loaves emerge, their crusts crackle softly in the air. The smell drifts outward, catching the attention of soldiers across camp. Heads turn, conversations pause, and a little wave of anticipation spread has always carried with it a certain magic. Nearby, someone chops onions for the midday stew. The sound of the knifed thok-thok becomes part of the background rhythm, joining the hiss of the kettle, the scrape of spoons, the faint murmur of voices. Even here, so close to war, the kitchen hums with the same noises you might find in any household, any town, any place where food is prepared with care. It feels familiar, grounding, almost ordinary. And yet, you sense how fragile it all is. Every recipe is improvised, shaped by what has arrived in the last supply truck or what can be scavenged from the countryside. Some days, the meals are hearty enough. Beans thickened into soup, bread with butter, maybe a sliver of meat stretched across a dozen bowls. Other days, the food is thinner, portions smaller, the flavors muted by necessity. But always, always, there is food. You take a seat on a wooden crate, watching the activity around you. One of the younger soldiers is telling a story as he peels carrots. His voice soft, but carrying enough for the small group nearby to hear. It is not a story of war, but of home, of a kitchen table back in Illinois, of his mother's cooking, of Sunday afternoons when the house filled with the smell of roast chicken. The others listen quietly, some smiling faintly, some staring off as though the memory of their own homes has been stirred. The cook, listening as he kneads another round of dough, chuckles softly. Every man's mother is the best cook in the world, he says, his voice low, carrying a warmth that momentarily softens the air. The others nod, and for just a heartbeat, the camp feels less like a camp, and more like a kitchen anywhere else. As the morning stretches toward midday, the kitchen grows busier. Large pots are lifted carefully onto the stoves, filled with chopped vegetables, beans, and a few precious scraps of meat. Water is ladled in, stirring the mix into something that will, in time, resemble stew. The smell begins to spread outward, richer now, warmer, wrapping itself around the camp like a familiar blanket. Soldiers passing by glance in, some offering a smile, some offering only a tired look that seems to say, "Thank you," when the bread finally emerges from the oven. Golden and steaming, it is carried out carefully and placed on the wooden bench to cool. The crusts crackle as the air hits them, the sound faint but comforting. Soldiers gather closer, drawn as though by instinct, though they keep their distance until the cook nods permission. A loaf is broken and the inside is soft, the steam curling upward into the cool air. For a moment, the camp is hushed, focused only on that first bite of bread chewy, warm, sustaining. You realize then that the kitchen is not only about food. It is about ritual, about the preservation of something human in the midst of something inhuman. Every chop of the knife, every stir of the pot, every loaf placed on the bench is a quiet act of resistance against the chaos just beyond the horizon. The war may rumble in the distance. But here, for this hour, there is bread, there is stew. There is warmth as you sit there, breathing in the smells. Feeling the gentle heat from the stove, you notice how even your own body relaxes. Shoulders loosen, breath steadies, and the mind, once pulled in many directions, finds itself anchored. The kitchen, you realize, is not only a place of labor, but of peace, and as the first bowls of stew are ladled out, passed from hand to hand, you sense the quiet gratitude that flows through the camp. Gratitude not only for the food itself, but for the reminder it brings that even here, at the edges of war, there is still care, still comfort, still life. The morning begins softly. The camp stirs not with alarms or sudden shouts, but with a quiet ripple, as if the world itself is waking alongside you. You step from the edge of your cot and into the pale light of dawn, where the faintest mist still lingers on the grass. Around you, the sounds of men rising are gentle and unhurried boots laced. Jackets pulled tight against the chill, the muted scrape of tin cups as water is poured for washing. The war is there. Beyond the horizon, yet here in the small clearing of the field kitchen. The moment feels unhurried, almost timeless. You inhale, and the air is rich with wood smoke curling from the kitchen tent, carrying with it the faint smell of barley porridge warming in the pot. The steam lifts and drifts, mingling with the damp scent of earth and grass, as you walk slowly toward the cookfire. Each step is deliberate, unhurried. You hear the crunch of gravel beneath your boots, the soft rustle of canvas as a flap is tied back to let in the air. A gentle breeze passes, stirring the edges of your sleeves. The entire scene unfolds with a calm rhythm. The camp alive but not rushed. You notice how the soldiers nearby speak in hushed voices, saving their strength, conserving what little energy is not already claimed by duty. A man sits on a wooden crate, adjusting the buckle of his pack. Another runs his fingers through his hair, trying to tame it before the long day begins. In the distance, a bugle sounds faintly, its notes soft in the mist, calling but not demanding. You are not only an observer, here you are part of this rhythm, breathing in time with it. Your steps guide you toward the kitchen tent, where the cook is already moving with the precision of habit. He stirs the pot, lifts a ladle, tastes, and nods faintly to himself. Behind him, another soldier kneads dough, pressing his palms into the soft surface again and again. Steady, unbroken, as though each motion is a meditation. You sit nearby, letting the warmth of the fire touch your skin. The crackle of the wood is soft, almost like a lullaby, blending with the low hum of voices. For a moment, your gaze drifts outward across the camp. Beyond the tents, you see the line of trees, their leaves trembling gently in the early light. Beyond that, faint hills rise in quiet layers, their edges softened by the mist. The landscape feels suspended in time, caught between night and day, peace and conflict. The cook places a tin bowl in your hands. The porridge is simple barley, a touch of salt, a spoonful of dried fruit mixed in, but the steam rising from it is comforting. You lift the spoon slowly, tasting, and the warmth spreads from your mouth to your chest, grounding you in the moment. Around you, other soldiers eat in silence, the occasional clink of spoon against tin breaking the quiet. The food is plain, yet it carries something deeper. It sustains, it reassures. It reminds each man here that he is still alive, still human. As you eat, your eyes wander again to the horizon. The mist is thinning now, and the first rays of sun touch the tops of the trees. The colors shift gently, soft golds, pale blues, hints of green emerging. Birds begin their morning calls, weaving thin threads of song through the camp. Each sound feels like a note in a greater melody, slow and soothing. In this quiet, you imagine the thoughts of the cook himself. He does not speak much, but you sense the rhythm of his mind in the rhythm of his hands. He remembers markets from his youth, perhaps stalls piled high with vegetables, the calls of merchants, the smell of warm bread sold at the end of the day. He remembers family tables, laughter shared over bowls of soup, the rituals of meals taken in peace. Now, in this camp, he carries those memories with him, shaping them into the meals he creates for others. His work is not only about feeding bodies, it is about anchoring souls, grounding men in the familiar, even as the unfamiliar presses in. You finish the last spoonful of porridge, letting the warmth settle. Around you, men gather their gear, some stretching, some checking their boots, each movement quiet, deliberate. The day will carry them outward, perhaps toward drills, perhaps toward labor, perhaps toward patrol. But for now, in this moment, there is only stillness and the gentle rhythm of the kitchen. The cook begins preparing for midday, already chopping vegetables, setting aside loaves of bread to rise. His motions are steady, his focus unbroken. The soldiers drift away one by one, leaving behind only the faint sounds of their steps and the lingering scent of smoke. You remain a little longer, breathing deeply, watching the thin spiral of steam rise from the pot. The camp exhales with you, and for a time, all feels calm. The day drifts forward softly, as though time itself has slowed to a steady heartbeat. By late morning, you find yourself walking along the camp supply road, where soldiers and quartermasters move quietly among wagons, crates, and bundles. The war, though distant in sound, is always near in spirit. Yet here, the rhythm is not of battle, but of preparation, order, and survival. The path beneath your boots is worn but steady, pressed smooth by countless feet. Dust rises in faint curls with each step, floating briefly before fading into the warm air. The convoy of wagons is lined neatly along the road, horses shifting their weight slowly, their tails flicking lazily at flies. The sound of harness bells jingles faintly, delicate note that lingers in the quiet like a lullaby. You pass wooden crates stacked 2, sometimes 3 high. Their markings are simple stenciled letters, numbers, and faded symbols indicating rations. Flour, dried beans, tins of meat, and sometimes soap. Each box carries with it the promise of meals yet to come. The continuation of life through the simplest but most essential comforts. Soldiers lift them with careful strength, balancing their loads as though every grain within matters. Beyond the wagons, you notice a small line forming. Men gather near the quartermaster's desk, where supplies are counted and noted. The voices are hushed, respectful, as though all understand the fragility of these resources. A man receives a bar of soap, another a pouch of tea leaves, another a bundle of socks rolled tight. Each item, however small, is cherished. You walk further, your pace unhurried. A faint breeze carries with it the scent of hay from the horses, mingled with the sharp tang of canvas and leather straps. Somewhere nearby, someone is peeling potatoes into a tin basin. The slow scrape of knife against peel is steady, meditative, like the ticking of a clock, marking gentle time. The road leads you toward a quieter clearing where the supply wagons are prepared for travel. Here, soldiers secure ropes over tarps, checking that every bundle is tied tight. The motions are careful, deliberate, each knot pulled snug, each strap inspected twice. The work is not glamorous, but there is a quiet dignity to it. These supplies will feed hundreds. They will fill bellies, calm nerves, and remind weary men that there is still warmth waiting at the end of long days. As you pause, your eyes drift upward to the horizon. Beyond the low line of hills, faint wisps of smoke rise from a distant village. Perhaps it is peaceful there, farmers tending to fields, children chasing one another along paths. Perhaps it is silent, the homes emptied by conflict. You cannot know. The sight lingers like a shadow, but here, among the wagons, calm endures. The cook you saw earlier steps into view, carrying a small ledger. His brow is calm, his steps steady as he checks the crates stacked nearest the kitchen wagon. He runs his hand across one, nodding faintly, satisfied that the flour has arrived in good condition. His voice is soft as he speaks to a younger soldier, reminding him to keep the sacks dry, to shield them from the damp ground. Even in war, bread must be baked, soups must be stirred, bellies must be filled. You follow him a little, your steps matching his unhurried pace. He pauses at a crate of onions, lifting one and rolling it in his hand. For a moment, you sense the memory that crosses his mind, the smell of kitchens from long ago. The sizzle of onions dropped into a pan, the laughter of family waiting nearby. He does not speak of it, but the memory flickers briefly in the silence before he sets the onion back gently, nearby. 2 horses snort softly, their breath rising in pale clouds. One shakes its mane, the sound of loose tack jingling lightly. A soldier strokes the animal's neck, murmuring words too quiet to hear. The rhythm is steady. Soothing the man calms the horse, and in return, the horse steadies him. You linger here, letting the sounds of the supply road settle into you, the muffled thump of crates being shifted, the scrape of rope drawn tight, the clink of metal ladles being set into boxes. Each sound is measured, unhurried, part of a greater rhythm of life sustained through the simplest of actions. After some time, the convoy begins to move, the lead wagon rolling slowly forward. Wheels creak, hoof step, dust rises. The sound is gentle, steady, like the turning of an old clock. You step aside as the wagons pass, one after another. The driver sitting upright yet calm. Reins held with a quiet certainty as the last wagon fades into the distance. The road quiets once more. Only the soft crunch of boots remains, the fading jingle of harness bells. The air is still again, holding its breath, waiting for the day to unfold further. You take another slow breath, letting the calm settle in your chest. The journey continues, but for now, all is quiet, steady, and at peace. The afternoon sun has begun its descent, softening the light into warm, golden tones. Shadows stretch longer, draping across the camp with the slow grace of evening. You find yourself walking toward the edge of the field, where a narrow river winds past. Its waters glimmer faintly, carrying the day's last sunlight in ripples that sparkle like fragments of glass. The air is cooler here, carrying the scent of damp earth and river reeds. Crickets begin their soft chorus, a reminder that night approaches, though the day still lingers gently. You step closer to the water's edge, where the river moves in steady rhythm, never hurried, never still, always flowing onward like time itself. Along the bank, soldiers gather quietly. Some kneel to wash their hands and faces, splashing cool water onto skin weathered by dust and sun. Others sit upon smooth stones, boots unlaced, dipping tired feet into the stream. Laughter drifts faintly here and there, not loud, but warm and shared like the last threads of daylight. The cook has brought a pot to the riverside, filling it with water for the evening meal. He moves carefully, his steps measured, his focus steady. You watch him crouch low, tilting the pot into the stream. The water flows in smoothly, clear and bright against the metal surface. When he lifts it again, droplets fall like silver threads. Catching the fading light dot nearby, a soldier hums a low tune, the melody simple, almost like a lullaby. His voice blends with the chirping crickets and the quiet splash of the river. Others listen without comment, their heads bowed in thought, some polishing their utensils, others simply resting. The sound settles over the group like a blanket. Softening the edges of the day, you settle onto a flat stone yourself, gazing across the water. On the far bank, reeds sway gently in the evening breeze. Their tips bend and straighten again in a rhythm so calm it feels as though the earth itself breathes with you. The river becomes a mirror now, catching the reflection of clouds that drift lazily across the sky. Their edges glow pink and gold, slowly melting into deeper shades of violet. The cook returns to his fire near camp, setting the pot carefully atop a tripod of iron rods. He adds herbs gathered from a nearby field-dried thyme, perhaps, or crushed bay leaves carried in a small pouch. The scent begins to rise faintly, mingling with the smoke of the fire. Soon the air is filled with a calming mixture of wood smoke and simmering broth as the meal cooks. The soldiers perform small rituals that ground them. One man writes a letter, his pencil scratching softly across thin paper. Another smooths a photograph between his palms, gazing at the faces captured there. A younger soldier carefully sews a tear in his uniform, the needle flashing briefly in the low light. Each action is small, but each carries weight threads that connect them to lives beyond the war, to memories and comforts waiting far away. The sound of ladles stirring joins the evening symphony. The cook tastes the broth, nods to himself, then sprinkles in a pinch of salt. He adds a handful of chopped potatoes, their pale cubes slipping beneath the surface with soft splashes. Steam rises now in curling tendrils, drifting upward and catching the glow of the fire like mist touched by sunlight. You watch quietly as bowls are passed along. Each soldier receives a portion. Simple but filling broth, potatoes, perhaps a few beans, perhaps a scrap of meat. They eat in silence at first, heads bowed, savoring each spoonful. Then conversation rises gently, not in excitement, but in murmured tones, like the steady hum of bees in a summer field. The river reflects the first stars now. Tiny pinpricks of silver scattered across a deepening sky. You tilt your head upward, following them as they emerge one by one. The night unfolds slowly, gracefully, as though it has all the time in the world. The cook, having finished his meal, sets his empty bowl aside and simply sits. His eyes rest on the fire, the flames dancing in quiet rhythm. Perhaps he thinks of home, of kitchens far away, of meals cooked not for soldiers but for family. His face is calm, though lined with thoughts unspoken. You sit a while longer by the river, letting the sounds of water, fire, and low voices blend together. The world feels distant, here war, worry, uncertainty all softened. Wrapped in the stillness of evening, at last, the bowls are washed in the river, stacked neatly beside the fire. The cook stirs the last embers, coaxing them into gentle ash. The camp settles into silence. Only the river continues its steady song, carrying the day away into night. You breathe deeply, feeling the peace of this moment linger, as though the river itself carries your thoughts into calm. Night has fully arrived. The last traces of gold have faded from the horizon, replaced by the deep indigo of the evening sky. The river, which shimmered with sunlight only hours before, now reflects the vast dome of night. Stars scatter across its surface, rippling gently whenever the current shifts. You walk slowly back toward the camp. The ground cool beneath your steps, the grass brushing softly against your boots. The air is fresh and damp, carrying with it the sense of wood smoke and cooling earth. Somewhere nearby, a single owl calls out a low, haunting note that echoes over the stillness. The fire at the heart of camp burns low now, its flames reduced to glowing embers. They pulse in shades of orange and red, like the steady heartbeat of the night. Around it, soldiers settle into quiet. Some lie wrapped in blankets, faces turned toward the sky. Others sit in silence, their hands folded, their thoughts carried far away. The cook, his tasks complete, rests against a wooden crate. His cap sits loosely on his head, and in his lap lies a simple notebook. By the light of the fire, he writes slowly, his pencil moving with deliberate care. Perhaps he records the day's meals, or perhaps he writes to a family he hopes to see again. His face, once focused on chopping, stirring, and serving, now softens into reflection. You pause near him, noticing the way the firelight flickers across the pages of his book. The pencil scratches quietly, blending with the crackle of the fire. It is not hurried writing. It is calm, thoughtful words, shaped not for command, but for comfort. Beyond him, soldier rolls onto his side, gazing at a photograph tucked beneath his pillow. Another hums softly, the same tune heard earlier at the riverside, though now it is slower, like a lullaby fading into dream. The sound carries through the camp, gentle and unbroken, until it fades naturally into silence. Above, the stars shine brighter with each passing moment. Their light is soft, almost tender, as though the sky itself leans down to watch over the resting camp. You tilt your head back, letting your gaze drift upward. The constellations spread across the heavens, ancient patterns known by soldiers and travelers for centuries. Perhaps the cook knows them too. Those bright guides that once led sailors across oceans and shepherds through wide fields. A thin crescent moon rises, silver against the dark canvas of sky. Its light touches the river, turning the surface into a ribbon of liquid pearl. You breathe deeply, the cool air filling your lungs, the rhythm of the river blending with your own heartbeat. The world feels slowed, softened, as though wrapped in a blanket of night. The cook sets aside his notebook and closes his eyes for a moment. His hands, rough from long days of chopping and stirring, now rest still. The fire crackles softly nearby, but he seems almost asleep where he sits suspended between wakefulness and rest. You take your place at the edge of the camp, lying back upon a bedroll spread across the earth. The ground is firm but steady, supporting you, grounding you. You listen to the quiet all around, the steady flow of the river, the rustle of reeds, the gentle breathing of men settling into slumber. One soldier murmurs a prayer, his words soft, spoken not for others, but for himself. Another stirs in his sleep, sighs, and then falls still again. The cook pulls his blanket closer, curling slightly as his breathing evens out. Slowly, the rhythm of rest settles across the camp like a tide, calm and unstoppable. The embers glow faintly now, fading into deep red. The night stretches endless above you, vast and unbroken. Stars shimmer gently, some steady, some flickering like candle flames in the distance. You allow yourself to drift with them, to imagine their light as a net of safety cast over the camp, holding everyone within a circle of quiet peace. The river continues to sing, its voice eternal, unchanged by war or worry. You focus on its sound, the slow, steady flow that feels like a lullaby written by nature itself. With each passing moment, its rhythm carries you further from wakefulness. Deeper into calm, your body feels heavy now, safe, supported. The cook sleeps, the soldiers rest, and the world narrows to fire, river, and stars. Nothing is urgent. Nothing is hurried. The night holds you gently, guiding you toward rest, and as your eyes close, you feel the day dissolve completely, leaving only the promise of deep, unbroken sleep beneath the endless sky. The air grows quieter as the day winds down. The campfires of the field grow dim, and the distant clatter of tools and voices softens into a hush. You leave behind the familiar scent of wood smoke and stew, stepping into the cooler night where the stars have begun to appear. Your path leads you not toward the barracks or the supply lines, but toward a place of calm and old stone chapel, nestled near the edge of the war-torn village, or perhaps a temple whose doors still open to any soul in need of rest. The building rises from the earth in worn dignity, weathered by time but still steady. Its roof catches the glow of lantern light, and the faint shimmer of the moon traces every edge of carved wood and stone. As you approach, you notice the small details, the marks left by hands that built it long ago. The soft creak of the wooden doors, the faint murmur of prayers once spoken here. It is not a place of orders or battle. It is a place of shelter waiting for you. Inside, the air shifts to stillness. The heavy walls mute the noises of the outside world. A candle flickers gently, its light dancing across old beams and faded icons. You take slow steps forward, your boots making the faintest echo on the stone floor. The sound lingers and fades, leaving you in a cocoon of peace. The cool air smells faintly of beeswax and dust, carrying with it a memory of years gone by. You pause to let your eyes adjust. Shadows gather in the corners, but they do not feel frightening, only deep, as if holding secrets and memories safe within their quiet embrace. The benches stretch out in neat rows, worn smooth by generations of people who once sat in them. Here, soldiers have bowed their heads for courage. Families have gathered to whisper their hopes. Travelers have rested, breathing a little easier beneath a sheltering roof. You find a seat and sit, letting the wooden bench cradle your weight. Your body relaxes into the stillness. A faint draft brushes your cheek, reminding you that this place has stood through countless seasons, countless storms, countless nights like this. The thought brings a strange comfort, even in times of great uncertainty. Places of peace endure. The cook's hands rest gently in your lap. They are hands accustomed to chopping vegetables, stirring kettles, carrying sacks of flour. Hands that serve others. And here, in the soft light of the temple, they find a moment of stillness. You imagine for a moment how many before you sat in such quiet, not as warriors or leaders, but simply as people seeking calm. A bell hangs above the entrance, unmoving in the still air. Its silence feels like a blessing. You picture how it might sound if rung low, resonant, carrying across the valley like a gentle wave. In wartime, bells were often silenced, yet still they remained, waiting for the day peace might return. Their presence, even in silence, was enough to remind people that calm could one day return. You glance upward. The rafters arch above you, dark wood, streaked with age. The ceiling is high, giving the room a sense of spaciousness, as though inviting your thoughts to expand, to drift beyond the burdens of the day. Somewhere beyond, faint starlight filters through a crack in the roof, a thread of the night sky weaving its way inside. You follow that faint glimmer upward with your eyes, and it feels as though the temple itself is breathing, taking in the stillness of the night, exhaling it gently into the room. The quiet is not empty. It is filled with subtle sounds, the soft hiss of the candle flame, the creak of the wood as it settles, the whisper of air moving gently across stone. These sounds lull you into a slower rhythm, inviting you to match them with your breath. Inhale, exhale, slowly, calmly. With each breath, the heaviness in your body lessens. Here, you are safe. The world outside may be uncertain, but within these walls, the only command is rest. The only duty is to breathe. You let your mind drift, imagining how others must have felt here. A soldier, weary from the march, kneeling to find courage for the days ahead. A child clutching a parent's hand, listening to stories whispered about hope. A cook, not unlike yourself, resting sore feet before returning to the fires and kettles that fed the weary. Each left a trace of their presence, and you are part of that gentle continuity. Time seems to slow. The flickering candlelight stretches into longer pauses. The silence deepens, and your body feels heavier, more relaxed. The bench beneath you feels softer, as if even the wood is welcoming you into its care. Your breath comes and goes like the tide, steady and unhurried. The temple holds you as the night deepens. Its walls feel strong around you, its silence wrapping you like a blanket. Whatever weight you carried into this place loosens, falls away, and drifts out into the quiet. You sit with only yourself, the flame, and the stillness. When you leave the quiet shelter of the temple, the night has deepened. The air feels cooler now, carrying with it the soft perfume of damp earth and grass. You walk slowly, your steps measured and easy, following a narrow path that winds away from the stone walls and toward the river. The sound comes first faint at a distance, then gradually clearer, the steady murmur of water flowing over stones. As constant as breath itself, the river greets you like an old friend. By day, it serves the soldiers, filling buckets, cleaning hands, cooling weary faces. But at night, the river belongs to silence. Moonlight rests gently upon its surface, turning ripples into silver threads. The current moves unhurriedly, as if time itself has slowed for this moment. You pause at the bank and watch. Reeds sway gently at the edge, their tips brushing against the water. A frog croaks somewhere unseen, its sound soft and rhythmic, blending with the river's voice. Fireflies drift above the grasses, glowing faintly like sparks rising from a faraway fire. Their gentle pulses create a rhythm, one that seems to echo your own heartbeat, steady, unhurried, calm. The river carries reflections of the night sky. Each star above appears twice, once in the heavens and once in the rippling mirror of the water. You notice how the current bends those reflections, reshaping them into flowing patterns. It is as though the stars themselves are traveling downstream, carried gently toward places unseen. You kneel at the water's edge and dip your hands into the cool stream. The touch is refreshing, the chill reminding you of its endless journey from mountains far away. You imagine the path the river has taken through forests, past villages, cross fields, and stones, always flowing, always moving forward. And yet here, in this moment, it feels as though it flows only for you, offering its calm presence. Behind you, the camp is silent. No orders are shouted, no fires blaze high. The world is muted, leaving you with only the river's lullaby. You listen closely, hearing its layers. The bubbling where water passes over rocks, the soft lapping against the shore, the faint hiss of tiny waves dissolving into the earth. Together, they weave a song more soothing than any melody played on strings or flute. You breathe in the scent of the riverbank. It is rich and earthy, tinged with the freshness of water and the faint sweetness of grass. Each inhale feels grounding, drawing you closer to the rhythm of nature. You sit back on the soft earth, letting your weight settle into the ground. It holds you with quiet steadiness, as though the very land itself wishes to cradle your tired body. For a moment, you close your eyes. Without sight, the other senses deepen. The river's song grows stronger. The cool night air brushes across your skin like a gentle hand. The faint flicker of fireflies still glows behind your eyelids. You feel as though the whole world has softened, drawing you into its embrace. When you open your eyes again, the stars appear brighter. The sky above stretches endlessly, each constellation placed as though guiding travelers across time. Some of these same constellations were seen by ancient cooks long before this war, when they tended fires and stirred pots under the same heavens. The thought weaves you into history, reminding you that no matter the century, no matter the place, people have always paused to look upward at night and find peace in the stars. You follow the path of the river with your eyes. It disappears into the distance, curving softly into the shadows of the land. You wonder where it will flow tomorrow, whose hands it will refresh, whose lips it will quench. But those questions feel far away. Tonight, its gift is simply its presence, the way it speaks without words. The way it offers rest without asking for anything in return. Time stretches gently as you sit by the water. The minutes blend together, like ripples merging into the stream. Your thoughts begin to drift, moving slower and slower, until they too are carried away like fallen leaves on the current. The river hums. The earth cradles you. The stars watch silently above, and in that quiet balance, you feel as though the night itself is holding you in its arms, rocking you gently toward sleep. The river fades softly behind you as you lean back against the earth, gazing upward into the night. The sky stretches infinitely, vast and unbroken, its darkness filled with points of silver light. You let your breath slow in rhythm with the stars, as though the universe itself is breathing with you one long, steady inhale and a gentle, unhurried exhale. Dot above, constellations glimmer like ancient maps. Two soldiers and travelers of the past, these stars were more than decoration. They were guides, storytellers, reminders that no matter how vast the land below, the heavens always offered direction. You imagine field cooks, centuries ago, stepping out from their tents after preparing meals, lifting their eyes to this very same sky. Perhaps they too felt the comfort of knowing that, though the world was heavy with conflict, the stars remained untouched, eternal, steady, reliable. The Milky Way spills across the heavens like a river of light. Its pale glow drifts from horizon to horizon, reminding you of streams of flour dust rising when bread is needed in camp kitchens, or of the white trail of steam rising from boiling pots. It is a cosmic reflection of earthly labor's quiet, essential, enduring. Each star above feels like a candle lit for travelers long gone. Some shine brighter, steady, and unwavering, while others twinkle faintly, like whispers in the dark. You follow their patterns slowly, as if tracing invisible lines between them. There is no need to hurry. The sky invites slowness. As your eyes wander, you recall how ancient cultures gave these stars names and stories. To the Greeks, they were hunters and maidens, heroes and beasts, immortalized forever in light. To sailors of centuries past, they were anchors and markers, guiding wooden ships across unknown seas. And here, for you, tonight they are companions distant yet intimate, as though they lean closer to keep you company. The air grows still. Even the river's murmur feels hushed, allowing the sky to speak. Its voice is not loud, not urgent. It is a soft presence, a lullaby without words. Each glimmer above seems to say, "Rest now, traveler. You are safe beneath our watch." You breathe deeper, filling your lungs with cool night air. As you exhale, you feel your body sink a little further into the earth. The ground feels warmer now, familiar, as though it molds itself to your shape. A faint breeze brushes across your face, carrying with it the faintest hint of smoke from distant campfires then, almost gone, blending with the night. You close your eyes for a moment. Yet the stars remain imprinted behind your eyelids. Their afterglow lingers like gentle lanterns guiding you deeper inward. When you open them again, the stars seem brighter, more alive, as though they too have been watching you rest. Somewhere in the distance, an owl calls. Its sound is low and resonant, drifting across the open space like a note struck on a hollow drum. The answer comes a moment later, another owl, further away. Their voices weave across the night, reminding you that even in the quietest hours, life continues its soft rhythm. You imagine how countless soldiers before you, in countless wars, lay beneath similar skies. Some whispered to the stars their fears. Some prayed for guidance. Others simply gazed upward, allowing their minds to drift beyond the battlefield, beyond the hardship, to the endless calm above. In those moments, the stars were not distant, they were close. Offering quiet refuge, the longer you watch, the more the sky feels alive. Stars seem to pulse in and out of focus. Constellations breathe, their lines shifting like patterns on water. Slowly, gently, you feel your thoughts dissolving into the expanse. You are not merely looking at the stars, you are floating among them, carried upward on invisible currents of peace. The boundary between earth and sky grows thinner. You no longer feel separate from the night. Instead, you are part of its sure breath, blending with the wind. Your heartbeat echoing with the rhythm of the stars. Time stretches out, endless and forgiving. Minutes may pass, or perhaps only seconds. The night sky does not measure time in the way people do. It measures in stillness, in light, in quiet endurance, as you remain beneath the heavens. A sense of safety wraps around you. The world may be uncertain, battles may rage elsewhere, but here beneath this canopy of stars, you are untouchable. You are held in a vast, protective embrace, watched over by lights that have shone for millennia and will shine long after. Your eyelids grow heavier, blinking slowly, as though each blink is longer than the one before. The stars blur softly at the edges, turning from sharp points of light into gentle clouds of glow. They begin to shimmer like lanterns seen through mist, dreamlike and inviting, and as the night deepens, you realize you are no longer simply observing the sky. You are drifting with it, becoming part of its calm, endless rhythm. The stars whisper softly, rest, drift, sleep, and you listen. The night has deepened, and the air feels heavier with calm. The stars above still shimmer, but now they seem softer, blurred at the edges, as though you are already slipping between wakefulness and dreams. The earth beneath you is solid, steady, holding you as though it has known your weight for centuries. Every breath you take settles you further into stillness. The river, though distant now, continues its hushed song, a lullaby of moving water. It flows endlessly, like time itself, quiet, patient, eternal. The surface catches the moonlight in silver ripples, 1,000 shifting fragments of light drifting toward the horizon. Watching it, you feel as though your thoughts too are drifting away, carried gently downstream. Whatever worries lingered in your mind are loosened, dissolved, carried far beyond your reach. Around you, the sounds of the night are few but familiar. A rustle of grass as the wind brushes past. A faint clicking of insects hidden in the reeds. The low call of a night bird echoing across the valley. Each sound rises softly, then fades again, as though the world itself is breathing with you. rising and falling in unison. You imagine the field camps of history, rows of canvas tents. Fires reduced to glowing embers, soldiers already lying in their blankets, weary from long days of marching and labor. In those camps, cooks like yourself would often be the last to rest, cleaning pots, putting away knives, ensuring the next morning's bread was ready to rise. And yet, even they, at last, would step outside, wipe their hands on their aprons, and gaze at the night just as you are doing now. In that stillness, even in the midst of war, there was peace. The ground beneath you feels warmer now, shaped perfectly to your body. The air brushes gently across your skin, cool but kind. You close your eyes, and for a moment, the darkness behind your eyelids feels deeper than the night sky itself. It is a safe darkness, soft, embracing, endless. In that darkness, images begin to form. You see shadows of trees swaying slowly, their branches heavy with leaves that whisper secrets to the night. You see the faint outline of hills rolling into the distance, their slopes silvered by moonlight. And you see the quiet outlines of human lives, shadows of soldiers asleep, of horses resting, of smoke spiraling faintly upward from dying fires. It is a world suspended, a world waiting, a world wrapped in stillness. Your breath slows again, and you notice the rhythm of your chest, rising and falling like the tides. With every inhale, the air feels cool, refreshing. With every exhale, tension drains from your body, flowing out into the earth. Shoulders relax, arms grow heavy, legs sink deeper into comfort. Piece by piece, you are becoming lighter in mind, heavier in body. Drifting toward the threshold of sleep, the stars continue to glow above you, but now they seem less distant. You imagine them drawing closer, folding around you, like lanterns circling a traveler on a dark road. They do not burn harshly. Instead, they glow with the gentleness of candles, steady and warm. You feel protected beneath their watchful gaze. History itself feels distant now, as though the noise of the day, the clatter of pots, the voices of soldiers, the marching of boots has all faded into silence. What remains is the essence of life, timeless and unchanging, the land, the river, the sky, and your own quiet presence within it. Time begins to blur. Minutes slip into one another, indistinguishable. The night stretches endlessly, as though dawn will never come, as though this moment has been set apart from the rest of time to allow you to rest fully, deeply, without interruption. Your body feels heavier still, sinking deeper into comfort. The weight is not burdensome, it's grounding, steadying. You are anchored safely to the earth, unable to drift anywhere but inward, into rest. Your mind, however, grows lighter. Thoughts float upward like smoke, thin and insubstantial, disappearing into the night. There is no need to hold on to them, and so you rest here, caught in a gentle balance, heavy in body, light in mind. Safe, steady, timeless. The night deepens even further. The stars are still there, but they feel softer now, blurred into glowing clouds of light. The moon lowers gently toward the horizon, casting a faint glow that spreads like a blanket across the land. The air cools, the breeze slows, and the earth itself seems to exhale, as though it too is preparing for rest. You can almost hear the heartbeat of the world beneath you is slow, steady pulse that matches your own. It is the rhythm of rivers, of winds, of seasons, of centuries. It is the rhythm of life itself, eternal and unbroken. As you surrender more fully to this stillness, the edge of sleep grows nearer. Your eyelids are heavy, your breathing slow, your body warm and secure. The night cradles you gently, rocking you deeper into rest. Like a boat drifting quietly across calm waters, the journey has carried you far. From the clamor of kitchens to the quiet of riversides, from the flicker of fires to the expanse of the stars. Now it carries you inward into dreams, where history and memory dissolve into calm. There is nothing more you must do, no tasks to complete, no burdens to carry. Only rest, only quiet. Only the slow, steady drift into sleep. And as you hover on the edge of dreams, you hear once more the soft whisper of the night. You are safe. You are at peace. You are free to rest, and with that, you let go. The camp is quiet now. The chaos of the day has ended. The clang of pots and pans, the scrape of knives against worn wooden cutting boards, the hurried footsteps of men rushing to and from the field, kitchen, all of it has melted into stillness. What remains is only the faint glow of embers, soft against the darkened earth, and the steady rhythm of the night wind passing through canvas and cloth. It is in moments like this, when the world slows down, that memory becomes clearest. You sit near the cooling fire, its heat fading gently, and you notice how silence itself seems to carry weight. It is not an empty silence, but one filled with presence, the ghost of voices that once laughed here, the echo of conversations that drifted into the night, the sighs of men too tired to speak. Across time, thousands of similar camps once existed. From the frozen edges of the Ardennes to the rolling fields of Normandy, from the deserts of North Africa to the damp forests of Eastern Europe, the same sight could be found: small clusters of tents, low fires, weary figures wrapped in blankets. Each camp had its own rhythms, its own struggles. Yet they were tied together by the same thread: human endurance, human longing, human survival. History books speak of battles, strategies, victories, and losses. But the quiet hours in between, those rarely written down, tell just as much about the human spirit. For here, in the stillness, we glimpse the fragility and resilience of life. You imagine the cook at the end of his long day. His apron is stained from flour and grease, his hands chapped from constant washing in cold water. He has spent hours stirring enormous pots of stew, carving loaves of bread into careful slices, ensuring that each man received his portion. He has worked not for glory, but for sustenance. And when the last soldier has eaten, when the last bowl has been set aside, he finally allows himself to sit down by the fire. What thoughts filled his mind in this quiet? Perhaps he thought of home, a kitchen that smelled of onions frying in butter, a mother or wife stirring a pot by the stove, a child tugging at his sleeve, asking when supper would be ready. Perhaps he thought of the fields of his childhood, of running through tall grass under skies unbroken by smoke. Or perhaps, too tired to think, he simply stared into the flames, letting them pull him into their slow dance until sleep overtook him. The fire crackles softly. The stars above remain unmoved, watching from their ancient places. You breathe deeply, feeling the cool night air fill your lungs, and you sense the connection that bridges past and present for countless soldiers and cooks. The night sky was their one constant something, familiar no matter how far from home they traveled. When everything else was uncertain, the stars remained. And so you wonder how many men lying in their tents after a long day gazed upward and thought the same thoughts you'd think now. Did they too feel the vastness of time stretching before them, the comfort of belonging to something greater? Did they sense that their lives, though small in the great sweep of history, mattered in ways that could not always be measured? The embers shift, sending a trail of sparks upward. Each spark glows brightly for an instant, then fades into the dark. It is like the story of a human life burning briefly, then vanishing into silence. And yet, even when the spark is gone, the warmth remains. That warmth lingers in memory, in story. In the quiet act of remembrance, you breathe slowly, letting your body relax as the thought settles. These men, these cooks and soldiers, are not forgotten. Their lives, their moments, still echo softly, like the fading sound of footsteps along a corridor. History may not always record their names, but it carries their presence in subtler ways in the food they prepared, in the comfort they gave, in the endurance they embodied. The air is still now, except for the faint hum of insects in the grass and the occasional distant bark of a dog. Time itself feels suspended. You imagine how a soldier, finishing his ration and laying back, might have closed his eyes to this same soundscape, drifting into uneasy dreams. And yet, even in such dreams, there was safety in the small rituals, the meal at the end of the day, the quiet under the stars, the steady routine that gave order to chaos. Your own breathing falls into rhythm with this imagined scene. Inhale, exhale. The body settling, the mind softening. You feel yourself drawing closer to the men of the past, not through battle, but through silence, through the timeless act of resting after a long day. As the campfire dims further, shadows lengthen and blend into the night. The cook rises slowly, folding his apron, setting aside his tools. There is no applause, no recognition, only the knowledge that tomorrow he will do the same again. But in that moment, as he steps away from the fire and looks upward, he carries with him a quiet dignity, the kind that comes not from victory, but from service. And perhaps, as he gazed at the same stars above, he felt the same deep stillness you feel now. The sense that all things, no matter how loud or how chaotic, eventually find their way to silence. That silence does not erase, but heals. You let that thought sink in. The embers glow faintly. The night stretches endlessly. History fades into the softness of memory, and memory itself drifts into dream. The fire is nearly gone now. The camp is asleep. The world is wrapped in shadow, and you, too, feel yourself being drawn into that same quiet rest. The night is deeper now. The fire has burned down to little more than glowing coals, and even the wind seems gentler, as if reluctant to disturb the fragile stillness that has settled across the camp. The soldiers are resting, their breaths rising and falling in quiet unison beneath canvas shelters. Yet, though the camp is silent, it does not feel empty, for in the hush of night, voices seem to linger. Not loud, not intrusive, but soft like echoes carried across time. Perhaps they are not truly sounds, but impressions, memories woven into the earth itself. The voices of men who once laughed here, sang here, prayed here. Men whose words are gone, yet whose presence remains. You close your eyes for a moment and let yourself imagine them. The hushed murmur of two friends sharing a last cigarette before sleep. The low hum of a song carried from one corner of the camp, half remembered and out of tune, but comforting nonetheless. The brief chuckle of someone recalling a joke from home, each sound fragile as a candle flame, illuminates the humanity that lived within the war. It is easy in history books to think of war as numbers divisions, battalions, losses tallied neatly in ink. But here, in this imagined night, you feel the truth more clearly. War was lived not only in battles, but in small, fleeting moments of companionship and weariness, of ordinary people doing their best to endure. The field cook, too, is part of this memory. He may not have carried a rifle to the front lines, but he carried something else, the responsibility of care. His work fed these voices, sustained their laughter, gave them strength to carry on another day. The echoes you hear now are tied, in some unseen way, to the meals he prepared. A simple bowl of stew, a piece of bread, a hot drink in the cold, these were not luxuries, but they became anchors, tiny lifelines that reminded men of life beyond the war. You picture the cook moving quietly through the camp, checking that the food stores were covered, that the fire was banked safely, that tomorrow's meal could be begun without worry. He did not speak much, perhaps, yet his silence was a form of presence. And if you listen closely, you can almost hear his footsteps, faint on the earth, a rhythm that joined the greater harmony of the camp. Memory does not always preserve details. The names of many of these men are lost, their personal stories scattered like ash in the wind. But even if the world does not recall them, the night does. This silence carries them. And in listening, In remembering, you become part of their story too. You imagine the voices fading further, not disappearing, but softening, like ripples spreading across water. They remind you of how fragile life is, how quickly laughter can be swallowed by silence, and yet how deeply it lingers once shared. Every story told, every meal shared, every step walked it, all leaves traces, even if unseen. Your breathing slows. The mind begins to wander gently, like a river meandering through fields at dusk. The past no longer feels distant, but close enough that you feel the warmth of its presence. These soldiers, these cooks, were not so different from us. They worried, they laughed, they longed for home. They carried burdens too heavy to speak of, but they also carried hope, tucked quietly within themselves. And so the voices remind you, though the war itself is long gone, humanity continues. Their lives, however brief, flow into the greater current of history, and from that current you, to drink. Every story of survival, every act of care, enriches the world we live in now. You breathe this truth in. It feels soft, like a blanket wrapped around your shoulders. The echoes fade further until they are no longer words, but impressions, gentle waves of feeling that rise and fall within the silence. Comfort, weariness, hope, these are the voices that remain above you. The stars glow steadily. The sky, vast and ancient, has seen countless such nights. It has watched over camps of soldiers and fields of workers, over families huddled by their hearths, over travelers resting by the roadside. The stars bear silent witness, holding memory in their endless light, and as you gaze upon them in your imagination, you understand what those men must have felt, that though the world seemed uncertain, they were not truly alone. For the stars were there, then as now, constant and unchanging, keeping watch as voices whispered into the night. The camp is utterly still. The cook rests now, his body weary, his heart heavy but steady. His dreams, if they come, will be colored by memories of home, perhaps by the scent of bread baking, by the laughter of children, by the comfort of a table surrounded by familiar faces. Dreams are the one escape from the harshness of the day, and tonight you hope his dreams are kind. The voices have quieted. The fire is nearly gone. Only the faint glow of embers remains, pulsing like a heartbeat. And in that rhythm, you hear the continuation of life. The heartbeat of the earth itself, carrying forward all that has been, all that will be. You breathe deeply once more, allowing your body to grow heavier, more relaxed. The voices of memory become softer still, dissolving into the quiet hum of night. And as they fade, they do not leave emptiness, but peace. A reminder that every life, however small, contributes to the great story of humanity. The echoes drift, the stars remain, and you are left with stillness. Stillness that is not absence, but presence gentle, eternal, comforting. And in that presence, you find yourself drifting too, carried gently into rest. The silence deepens as the night continues its slow passage. The camp, once filled with the bustle of soldiers and the clatter of pots, has surrendered fully to rest. Only the faintest sounds remain: the whisper of fabric stirring in the breeze, the muted crack of cooling wood, and the steady cadence of distant breathing. Silence can feel heavy, almost tangible. In times of war, silence is rare, and when it comes, it feels both unsettling and sacred. Tonight, it lies across the camp like a heavy quilt, muffling every trace of sound, drawing each man inward into the solitude of his own thoughts and dreams. You feel it too. As you imagine yourself here, the weight of silence presses gently, like the hush of snowfall on a winter night. It is not oppressive, but deep in invitation to reflect, to listen, to let the mind settle into stillness. The field cook, lying upon his thin bedding, is aware of it. He has grown accustomed to noise, the rattle of wagons, the clink of utensils, The voices of men lined up for food. Silence is unusual. He turns slightly, listening, his senses sharpening not to detect danger, but simply to absorb the rare tranquility. For in this silence, he feels closer to something greater than himself. Silence, after all, holds memory. It carries the unspoken weight of the day. Every face he served, every hurried meal handed across the table. Every word over hurdle of it settles here, woven into the night. He feels it in his chest, as though his own breath carries the burden of countless others. You, too, can feel this weight. It is not heavy in a troubling way, but in a grounding one. Like the deep roots of an ancient tree, silence anchors you, reminding you of the strength found in stillness. If you listen long enough, you begin to notice that silence is never truly empty. Within it, the smallest sounds gain meaning. The soft shuffle of a sleeper turning over. The distant call of a night bird. The quiet crackle of dying embers. Each is magnified, not by volume, but by contrast. Carrying more weight simply because it exists within the hush, so it was, too, for those who lived through war. A single laugh in the quiet night could feel like salvation. A whispered prayer could seem louder than cannon fire. Silence allowed them to notice, to appreciate, the fragile beauty of such moments. The cook closes his eyes, and in the silence, he sees home. Memory is clearer in these hours. He imagines the warmth of his mother's kitchen, the comfort of bread pulled fresh from the oven, the laughter of neighbors carried through open windows. Those sounds, though long past, seem alive again in the silence of the night. And for a moment, he is not on foreign soil, but back in the safety of home. You can almost see what he sees, can almost taste the bread, can almost hear the laughter. The silence makes it vivid. Silence allows memory to rise, to breathe, and yet silence also carries absence. For every memory recalled, there is another that cannot return. Friends lost, opportunities gone, paths forever changed. The cook does not dwell on these, but he feels them, as one feels the empty chair at a table or the echo of a voice no longer heard. Silence holds both presence and absence. And it is this duality that makes it so profound. The stars above shine brighter in the absence of sound. Their light feels sharper, their constancy more reassuring. In the silence, it is easier to believe they are eternal, watching over every generation that has come before, and every one yet to come. You breathe slowly, deeply. Each inhale feels longer, each exhale softer. The silence soothes, pulling you further into calm. It is as though time itself has slowed, each moment stretching into eternity. The cook finally drifts, his body surrendering to rest. His dreams, perhaps, are shaped by silence too. Dreams without words, filled instead with impressions, the warmth of firelight, the smell of fresh bread, the sound of familiar laughter. Dreams that carry him gently, like a boat floating downstream. The silence remains, long after sleep has come. It enfolds the camp, enfolds you, enfolds history itself. Silence is the final keeper of all things. Battles end, voices fade, but silence endures, carrying everything in its embrace. And in this weight of silence, you find peace. Peace not of forgetfulness, but of gentle remembrance. Peace that comes when the world finally pauses. Allowing the heart to rest, you drift deeper into your own silence, into your own dreams. The weight of silence holds you, steady and kind, as the night continues on its endless way. The stars remain, scattered across the dark canopy of night, watching silently as generations pass beneath them. They are the quiet witnesses of history, unchanged by the rise and fall of empires, untouched by the fleeting struggles of men. To gaze at them is to step outside of time itself, to be reminded that the stories of today are but threads in a vast, endless tapestry. For the field cook, lying on his blanket in the stillness of night, the stars stir thoughts of legacy. He wonders, as countless before him have wondered, whether his life will be remembered. Will his name be carried on in books, in stories, in monuments? Or will it be lost, as so many names are, known only to those who once shared his meals, his laughter, his company? And yet, perhaps legacy is not always about being remembered by the many. Perhaps it is about leaving even the smallest imprint on the hearts of those nearby. Each meal served in the cold, each gesture of kindness offered to a weary soldier, these may be his legacy. Not written in stone, but carried quietly in memory, in gratitude, in the faint comfort of knowing that for one moment, he made someone's burden lighter. You, too, may feel this question stirring in the stillness. What does it mean to leave something behind? Is it grand achievements, or is it the quieter, unseen acts of care? Under the stars, with the world hushed, it is easier to believe that the quiet acts matter most. The stars, after all, do not shout. They do not demand recognition. They shine steadily, softly, and in that steady light, they guide travelers, inspire poets, and comfort the lonely. Their legacy lies not in brilliance, but in constancy. Perhaps people, too, leave their truest mark, not in moments of grandeur, but in the steady light they offer others along the way. The cook closes his eyes, listening to the silence, feeling the vast sky above him. He does not need to be remembered by nations. He is content knowing that in small, simple ways he has kept men alive, kept spirits lifted, kept something human burning even in a world shadowed by war. That, too, is a kind of legacy. You breathe deeply, and as you exhale, you let go of the day's noise. You imagine the stars above you, ancient and calm, reminding you that your presence matters. Even the smallest moments of kindness, even the quietest contributions, ripple outward, leaving traces beyond what you can see. You, too, are part of history's great, unbroken chain. The night deepens. The embers of the cook's fire glow faintly, their warmth lingering like memory itself. The men around him sleep, unaware that their stories, their struggles, their laughter beneath the stars are all now part of a larger narrative that time itself carries forward. Someday, centuries from now, someone may look up at the stars and wonder about those who came before. They may imagine the soldiers who slept under the same sky, the cooks who kept them nourished, the countless ordinary souls who lived, loved, and dreamed beneath the stars. In that imagining, the past breathes again. Legacy is not always found in names, it is found in the persistence of memory, in the way we continue to wonder, to care, to remember. The stars shimmer faintly, as though nodding in agreement. They remind us that nothing is ever truly lost. The laughter once carried through these camps, the footsteps once pressed into this soil, the voices once lifted in song or prayer, they all remain. Faint echoes stored in the fabric of time itself, and as you lie here, drifting gently toward sleep, you become part of that continuity. The breath you take now, slow and soft, is the same rhythm felt by those before you. Your dreams tonight flow from the same well of silence and memory that has always guided humanity beneath the stars. The cook turns once more, settling into the earth. His breathing slows, steady and deep. He is no longer thinking of tomorrow's duties or of the war that rumbles far away. Tonight, he is simply a man beneath the stars, held by silence, comforted by the thought that in some way, his life has mattered. You, too, are held. By the quiet, by the sky, by the weight of history that does not burden, but soothes. For to reflect on the past is not always to feel sorrow. Sometimes it is to feel connected, to recognize that your story, too, is part of something vast and enduring. The stars remain. They will remain long after this night, long after these voices, long after the fire fades. Their constancy whispers a promise. That peace, in some form, always returns. That silence will always follow noise. That rest will always follow struggle. And so, under this endless canopy, you find your own peace. You let the legacy of countless lives cradle you. You surrender to the silence, to the stars, to the soft embrace of history itself. The cook sleeps. The camp sleeps. The night continues unhurried. And you too, drift your breath slow, your body loose. Your mind cradled in the gentle expanse of time. The legacy of the moment is simple. Quiet, rest. And the reassurance that you are part of a story much larger than yourself. Beneath the stars, the story softens. Beneath the stars, you sleep. The journey is complete now. The footsteps you once followed have faded into the quiet earth, and the voices of soldiers and cooks, of bustling camps and watchful nights, have drifted into memory. The war has faded, the fire has dimmed, and the world around you has softened into a timeless hush. You are no longer standing among tents or listening to distant boots across the mud. You are no longer feeling the weight of heavy pots or hearing the clatter of spoons against tin. All of that is behind you now. It rests in history, where it belongs, and you are free to step away from it, free to drift into peace. Here, in this moment, you are safe. Here, in this moment, you are at ease. You have carried the story as far as it needed to go, and now you may release it. Allow your breath to guide you into the quiet. Inhale slowly, softly, without force. Then exhale even more slowly, letting each breath fall away like a gentle wave returning to the sea. With every rise and fall of the chest, the body begins to loosen. The shoulders soften, the chest opens, the jaw relaxes. Another gentle breath in, another long breath out, and the rhythm of rest settles into you. The city of history has faded into dreams. The field kitchen, the soldier's laughter, the warmth of firelight, they all dissolve like mist touched by the morning sun. What remains is only quiet, a deep, soothing quiet. Imagine yourself lying on soft earth, but this time not in the chill of wartime. Instead, the night is warm, the sky above is clear, and the stars shine as though they have been waiting just for you. No burdens weigh you down here. No duties call your name. This space belongs only to you. Every breath slows the rhythm of the mind. Every exhale carries you deeper into stillness. The journey has brought you here to the edge of sleep. You have walked through history, listened to voices long gone, felt the weight of lives once lived, and now, at last, it all drifts into silence. You are free to let go of every image, every detail, every thought. Let them fall away softly, like autumn leaves carried by a gentle breeze. The body becomes heavier with each breath. The arms rest more deeply. The legs grow still. The head is supported, safe, quiet. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to carry, only rest. The night around you hums with peace. In the distance, you may imagine the soft rhythm of crickets or the faint hush of wind moving through trees. Overhead, the stars keep their eternal watch, a reminder of how small the noise of the world can seem beneath the sky. The cook has gone to sleep now. The soldiers rest. The fires are out. Even history itself closes its eyes, and you too are invited to follow. Your eyes soften, your breath drifts, your mind quiets. The story is complete, and you are safe. You are calm. You are deeply, deeply at peace. Allow yourself to sink now into that endless softness that waits beneath thought. There is no need to try, no need to hold on. You are simply floating, carried by silence, guided by breath, watched over by the same stars that have always been there. Inhale gently. Release even more gently. Breathe again and let go. The body knows how to rest. The mind knows how to drift. You do not need to lead it anywhere, simply follow, softly, into the quiet. The journey is complete, and the rest begins. Now that the story has faded, let yourself drift even further inward. The night has wrapped around you like a gentle blanket, and there is nothing more required of you. All duties, all tasks, all responsibilities, set them down, as though placing heavy pots on the earth after a long day of labor. Feel the relief of release, the lightness that comes when you are no longer carrying anything. This is your moment of ease. As you lie here, notice the softness beneath you. It could be a bed, it could be earth, it could be the gentle waves of imagination, whatever feels most restful for you. Let the surface beneath you rise to meet your body, supporting you completely. Your back loosens, your shoulders melt downward, your arms grow heavy and warm. With every breath, you are more supported, more safe, more deeply at peace. Imagine that above you, the stars stretch across the sky in endless patterns. They have witnessed countless lives before yours: soldiers, cooks, wanderers, poets. They have seen every story rise and fade, and yet they shine on, steady and constant. Allow that constancy to comfort you. You are not alone beneath these stars. You are part of something vast, ancient, and eternal. Their light soothes you, steady and calm, as though each flickering point whispers, "You are safe. You are home. You may rest now." Your breathing slows. Inhale softly. Exhale gently. Each breath is a tide pulling you deeper into the sea of sleep. Perhaps you imagine yourself lying near a quiet riverbank. The water flowing slowly, moonlight shimmering across its surface. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of earth and grass. Insects hum faintly, and the world around you is hushed, waiting. You feel yourself sinking into the stillness, as if the river's rhythm and your breath are one. Allow your thoughts to grow lighter now, as though they are clouds drifting across the sky. They appear, they pass, they dissolve. You need not follow them. You need not hold them. You can simply rest beneath the stars, letting the mind grow spacious and quiet. There is nothing to fix, nothing to decide, nothing to change. There is only this moment of rest. Even the story you have followed tonight, the cook, the soldiers, the field, the fire becomes softer now. Their shapes blur, their voices hush, and they too drift into the silence of sleep. You may carry with you the gentle lesson of their resilience, the memory of their lives, but even that can fade now. It has done its work. It has brought you here, to peace. Your body feels heavy and light all at once. Heavy with comfort, light with release. Your eyelids are soft, your breath steady, your heart calm. You are drifting between waking and dreaming, floating on the edge of a sea of rest. Allow yourself to let go more and more deeply with each exhale. Feel the surrender, the ease, the quiet. The stars above keep watch. The river flows gently. The world is still, and you too are still. The time for waking thoughts is over, and the time for rest has come. You are safe. You are calm. You are drifting now into the deep, peaceful waters of sleep. The night has deepened, and silence surrounds you like a cocoon. The last traces of history have melted away, and what remains is only stillness, only rest. The journey you began has ended, and now you float in the soft embrace of sleep. There is no need to return, no need to open your eyes. This is where you belong, here in quiet, here in peace. Imagine yourself lying in a gentle meadow beneath the stars. The grass is soft, the air cool, and the night sky is endless. You can hear the faintest sound of wind moving through tall grass, a rhythm as steady as your breath. Each exhale carries you deeper into relaxation. Each inhale fills you with calm. There is nothing to disturb you here, nothing to break the silence. Time has slowed, and only rest remains. The body has released its tension. The shoulders are loose, the arms heavy, the legs still. Even the face softens, the eyes heavy, the jaw unclenched. Your breath carries you like a lullaby, slow and steady, soothing and calm. You may even feel as though you are gently rocking, as though cradled by the night itself, safe, protected, at peace now. Repeat to yourself in thought, like a gentle mantra, the journey is complete. The story is done. I am safe. I am calm. I am at peace. Each repetition slows the mind, lulls the body, and opens the doorway into dreams. Again, I am safe. I am calm. I am at peace. With these words, the last of the waking world slips away. If you choose, imagine the cook yourself in another time closing their eyes by the dying fire, wrapped in a blanket, listening to the quiet hum of the night. They, too, drift into rest, no longer burdened, no longer weary, but free. And as they fade into slumber, so do you. The stars shine gently above, a reminder that while history may pass, peace remains. The earth holds you. The night cradles you. And sleep carries you. You are safe. You are calm. You are deeply at peace. Breathe in. Release. Breathe in again. Release. Allow the rhythm to carry you away, softer and softer, until you no longer notice the breath. No longer notice the words. No longer notice anything but the quiet. You are floating now, deeper and deeper, drifting on the tide of sleep. The journey is complete. The city fades into dreams. You are safe. You are calm. You are deeply, deeply at peace. And now, rest.